Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Alive and Free Radio on Zoom. Street Soldiers, thank you for joining us. I got to do the proper introduction because this is all radio. This is all radio on Zoom, so I got to do it right. Look, we got a treat tonight. We really do have a treat tonight, and wow. I'm looking at him. I saw him the other day on Zoom at University of San Francisco conversation with Steph Curry. Don't say anything till I finish talking, Mr. Jones.
I didn't say a word.
I know, but you will. So, I saw him the other day, and I got to say, it was just a great, great conversation. But ladies and gentlemen, so I do have his bio here, and I want to show everybody, it's like 5 pages, so I'm not going to do that, but I'm proud to introduce a great friend of Alive and Free, a great friend of Street Soldiers, a personal friend of mine, Dr. Clarence B. Jones, personal attorney, speechwriter for Dr. Martin Luther King, the author of several books, What Would Martin Say, Behind the Dream, The Making of the Speech That Transformed the Nation. What Would Martin Say was in 2008. Behind the Dream, The Making of the Speech That Transformed the Nation was in 2011. And he also co-authored an ebook, Uprising, Understanding Attica, Revolution, and the Incarceration State. And he is writing his...
Why are you wasting this valuable time? Why are you wasting valuable time on that?
I knew you was going to do that. But look, let me just say, I've met 3 people in my life that I really, really like, just knocked me over. The first was when I was in college. The BSU at my school, we had a wonderful opportunity, and we invited Muhammad Ali to our school. And every time I say that, I was like, damn, Muhammad Ali came and sat with y'all and I with y'all. Muhammad Ali, oh my God, I'll never forget that. He had a big phone. When a big phone, it looked like New Jack City. He had a big phone, and he was talking about Joe Frazier was a gorilla. Okay, I'll never forget that. And he talked to every girl at the school. That's a whole other story. Second is, there was a dinner that was held in Richmond, and I was the MC, and the speaker was Rosa Parks. And I got to sit next to Rosa Parks the entire evening. It was wonderful. There's a picture in my office. And the third is this gentleman right here. And the best thing about that, meeting Muhammad was like for a few hours. Miss Parks wasn't, but this guy I've got to know, and it's just wonderful. So Clarence B. Jones, welcome again. Visiting, you go with the USS stuff. It's great.
I don't need to go all through that. Everybody, you are partially responsible in a major way for my being at the University of San Francisco. You know that. So I'm delighted to have the opportunity. I was told earlier that one of the things that you wanted me to comment on, not the only thing, is that what do I believe Dr. King would say about what's going on contemporarily, what's going on right now?
So wait, hold on to that, because what I really want to do is I wanted the young people, I'm introduce them. I really want to do this because you've spoken on the show before, you've spoken at Alive and Free at the club before, and right. I invited, this group has not seen you, and you know, we have a range of young people. These are all my latest high school students who just graduated, they're on their way to college. I didn't bring my collegians. This group, they're all probably between the ages of 18 and 22. Most of them are 18, except for Bobby. Hi, Bobby. So they want to talk to you. And I told them to ask you a thing they wanted to ask. And of course, they'll get to that. But, you know, they have a chance to meet somebody that is just history. And so I want them to meet you. I think they get it. So first we have Masiyah Edwards. Wave your hand, Masiyah.
Hi.
Yeah, all right. We have Langston Reece.
How you doing?
Good.
We have Bobbi Brown. Say hi. Bobby, say hi.
Hello, how are you doing?
Okay.
Hi, how are you?
We have Armond Hervey. Say hi.
How you doing?
And I think we have Josephine Harper. Is Josephine around? And Josephine there? Hi, Josephine.
Yes, she's here.
And Kevin may come.
Kevin is here.
I'm here.
Kevin
I'm
is
here.
here. Kevin.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, bro? Oh,
How you doing?
Thank you, man. All right. So this is Dr. King's attorney. Who wants to talk to him first? Who wants to ask him anything you want? Let's say hi, Mrs. Hill.
Okay, I'll go. I wanted to take notes, but this is the first thing I'll do. So when Dr. Marshall first brought you up and he said, you know, we're going to meet Dr. Martin Luther King's lawyer, I was so excited and everyone was talking. And the main question that was brought up was, how do you think that he passed away?
How do I think what?
Dr. Martin Luther King passed away.
I know, but what's the question? You said, how do I think? And you say Dr. King
passed away.
I know, what's the question?
That is the question. How do you think he passed away?
Oh, well, first of all, he was assassinated. You know, I'm a little taken aback because when you say passed away, I think of somebody like, passing away, dying in their sleep or something.
Okay.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated by a third party racist assassin in Memphis, Tennessee. He was hit by this assassin's rifle bullet on right or left side of his face. I can't remember now, but he was assassinated. He didn't die. I mean, he died, but he was killed, murdered.
Right.
And that was not only, I mean, it was painful, not only obviously to his family, but to the whole world, and immediately to not just to African Americans in the United States at the time, but the entire world, entire United States. Oh yes, there were some people who were pleased that he was killed, assassinated. I understand that. By and large, he was assassinated doing just what he wanted to do, working for us so that we could be free. Mm-hmm. He died in the military sense, in the line of duty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who's next? Next question. Who wants to do it?
I want to ask a question right quick.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Jones, it is a great honor to meet you. You know, it's just, my heart is beating super fast. I know you and Martin Luther King Jr. did a lot of work at rape procedures, but I'm gonna jump to my question. So I wanted to ask you, like, the experience, like when he was writing a letter from Birmingham jail, can you explain your experience of, that? Can you?
Oh, wow. That's going to be I'll try to give you the shorthand version, but he was arrested on April 12th, 1963, which was Good Friday. And so when he was arrested, unfortunately, there were two lawyers who were authorized to go in and visit him. One of them, the local Birmingham lawyer, Arthur Shores, was out of town, and I was recognized to be his lawyer, notwithstanding I was from New York. So I went in to see him. Now, when I went in to see him, following a rather animated conversation I had with Harry Belafonte. Because Harry Belafonte was saying to me, "You got to go in and talk to Martin. That I'm getting all these calls from the mothers of children who went to jail with him." I said, "Harry, you can't believe it. When I walked in here to come into the jail to visit Martin, it's like I was walking through a gangplank. Parents, as I walked into the jail, the kids they were saying to me, Lawyer Jones, when you go in and see your Dr. King, when is he going to get our kids out of jail?" A number of kids is going into jail with him when he went into jail. So when I went in to see Martin on April 12th, 1963, was it? Yeah, I think it was Friday afternoon. I went in primarily to talk to him about that. And I'm starting to, and Harry and I had come up with, Harry Belafonte and I had come up with this idea that I would extract from Martin the names of key people, potential fundraisers, and I would write those names down, and we would get their phone numbers, and Harry and I, either individually or jointly, we would call them and we would say, Clarence just a few hours ago, who came from visiting Martin King in jail, and he needs your help, blah, blah, blah. So I was getting down my fundraising pitch. So when I tried to explain to Martin, this is what I want to do, he didn't want to hear it. I said, Martin, did you hear what I'm talking about? He said, yeah, I know, but but you and Harry have to work that out. I said, Martin, those parents are outside the jail, they're screaming at me. He says, no. Have you seen this? So I said, well, what are you talking about? And this was a full-page ad that was in the local newspaper, the Birmingham Herald. Full-page ad that had been signed by the local clergy in Birmingham. And the full-page ad was an open message to Dr. King. And it made several points, but this consistent point was one, he needs to get out of town and go back to mind his own business. Two, oh yes, we know, we in Birmingham, we've been trying to work out something with our Negro colleagues here in Birmingham, but we're making progress and we don't need you as an outside agitator. And three, these things take time. You just have to wait. Don't be so impatient. And four, generally, you're not a good dude. Your being here is more of a problem than a help. So when he told me about it, let me look at the ad. He says, "You see these?" I said, "What's that?" He had little piles of paper, and they were in different piles, like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. What he had started doing was writing an answer to the ad on any blank space of paper that he found in his jail. And so he was writing on the blank space of old dirty newspapers, paper towels, anything that had a blank space. And he put them in consecutive order. This is pile 1, pile 2, pile 3. So when you take him out and give him to Miss So-and-so, who was his secretary at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and have her type it. And when you come back in to see me the next time, that time, well, I guess I came in to see him in the afternoon, late afternoon. So at that time, I was able to see him twice a day, in the morning and the late afternoon. But the first time when I came to see him that late afternoon, he says, when you come in, be sure to bring me some paper. So what I did was that I put blank sheets of paper. I had a shirt and tie on. And at that time in April 1963, the people at the jail, they knew who I was. They didn't. I just took out my wallet and my identification. They didn't. There weren't any cell phones. They didn't pat me down. They knew who I was. Each time I came in, I took out my wallet and I showed who I was, and I raised my hands up so they could look that I had nothing in. But underneath my shirt, I had taken sheets of blank white paper, blank sheeting paper, sometimes white paper, sometimes yellow sheets of paper, yellow notepad paper. And I did that over the course of 5.5 consecutive days. And the total effect of what he wrote and what I took out from the jail and what I had typed, and then I would come back in and bring it. That was the Birmingham jail. I mean, that was a letter from the Birmingham jail. Now, I had so many other things on my mind. I never asked to read the letter. I had some, I was dealing with some problems with the bail money. I was dealing with legal problems. And so it's like maybe 3 to 4 weeks later, I'm in Atlanta in Dr. King's office. And his secretary, Dora McDonald, says, Clarence, I'm glad you're here because Doc isn't here, she said, but he wants you to read this letter he wrote while he was in jail because the magazine Christianity in Crisis wants to publish it. And you handle all this copyright and legal matters, and I want you to just handle it, So I said, okay. So for the first time, after maybe, it was a minimum of 4 weeks afterwards, I sat down and I read a mimeographed copy of what he had written. Now, when I sat down in the Atlanta office of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and I read, I said to myself, oh my God. I couldn't believe it because I knew, I saw, I heard, I was part of the circumstances in which he wrote the letter. He had no books. He had nothing to refer to. He had nothing. It just, and when you read the letter, he's quoting philosophers. He's quoting poems verbatim. I'm saying to myself, I said, Martin is a bad dude. Now, I didn't give him any credit. I don't give him any credit for being able to quote scripture from the Bible. Because I said, you got a PhD in the theology, you're supposed to do that. You don't get any credit. You don't get any credit from me for that. But the brother quoted from Hegel, from Aristotle, from John Donne, from the great writers. Then he quoted from them verbatim.
Wow. Love that story.
That was a letter from the Birmingham jail. Now, but the most important part of the letter, is when he addresses those ministers who say, he's impatient, why wait? And that's the beautiful part of the letter in which he talks about what it is being a Negro in America. The most poignant thing. And he ends up, after this beautiful description, he says, then you'll understand why our cup of endurance runneth over. You know what I'm saying? Our cup of endurance, but no, we can't take it anymore. Okay. So that's, in fact, the letter from the Birmingham jail should be the compass for your young friends today.
Hold on. Hold that compass.
Okay.
Hold on. Bobby, jump on in. And all of you are like, whoa. I mean, yeah. Living history. Bobby, you want to ask Dr. Jones something?
Yes, I have a question. Mr. Jones, it's nice to thank you for taking the time out for us today.
It's my honor. That's what I'm supposed to do.
I was going to ask you, what's the biggest lesson you learned from MLK? And what's the biggest lesson you taught him?
Well, the biggest lesson is that if you don't have anything you believe in so much that you're willing to die for, that means you'll fall for anything. If there's nothing in your life that's so non-negotiable that you're willing to die for, then you know, there's got to be something. That's the other thing. The other thing I learned is that I was a lawyer. I was raised in the Catholic Church by nuns from 16 to 14, but I was raised in a very religious environment. So I didn't, as a lawyer, I didn't initially buy into this thing that you should love your enemy. You know, that you be committed to nonviolence. You know, I've been in the infantry during the Korean War, played football, so you know, I've been in body contact. I told Dr. King, policeman puts his hand on me, he's going down on the ground. Doc would say, no, Clarence, you can't do that. And I said, well, that's why I'm your lawyer. I can't be involved in demonstration. But the point is, I eventually changed my mind. The thing I learned most from him, and I'm just going to tell it to you like it is. You got to love the people you serve. You hear me? You have to love the people you serve. And you have to have the capacity to love even when you're dealing with somebody that you know hates you and that you know, given a slight chance, they want to knock your block off. But you have to believe so much in what you believe in. You're going to protect yourself wherever possible. But you have to believe that your ability to love and to be nonviolent can outweigh and outendure anything that can be directed at you. You got to believe that.
Thank you, Clarence.
Some of you might say that Dr. King's lawyer is a crazy old man. Yeah, I am a crazy old man. Took me a while to come to that. I didn't just come to it like overnight.
Thank you, Clarence. Langston, your turn.
Hey, it's a pleasure to meet you. Just being able to see, you know, the impact that you've had, you know, on history. It's amazing. So I just wanted to thank you for coming by to stop to talk to us. The question I had today was, we all see how great of a leader Martin was, like, or Dr. King was in the public eye, but how was he like different, you know what I mean, like behind the scenes? Like, were there any like significant changes to his like personality? Like, just give me a more in-depth detail, like what he was like on a personal level.
Well, first of all, I was not, I was his lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there were persons like Andrew Young and Reverend Bernard Lee and Jose Williams, people who were active in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, that spent more time with him. on a day-to-day basis. But I spent a lot of time with him, away from the crowds, away from a lot of the other colleagues in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And I was 29 when I met him, and he was 31. I didn't grow up in the South, and he knew that. And I was a lawyer. And he soon came to understand that while I respected him, I mean, really respected him, I didn't want anything from him. I just wanted to give him the best advice and service that I could. And little did I know it, but after 2 or 3 or 4 years being with him, in his own head, he began to connect the dots and say, you know, my lawyer comes down here in his gray pinstripe suits and cufflinks and Rolex watch and white shirt. You know, he doesn't have to do this. He's got other things to do. So he developed, at first it was unspoken, but then it was spoken, a great respect for me. But the best thing I can tell you, if I were to leave you with, I don't want to be repetitive, but I have to tell you that I learned from him that if there isn't any, you need to find out what it is. It has to be something that's so personal and special to you that is non-negotiable, whatever it is. I'm not talking about a tennis racket or a basketball. It may be your parents. It may be your dog, I don't know. Maybe your sister, brother, maybe somebody, there's got to be something in your life that's so, maybe a teacher, maybe it's Dr. Marshall, I don't know. But there's got to be something so special to you that is non-negotiable. And one of the things I've learned from him, and Joe and I have talked about this, but I've learned something about self-confidence. And I want to share it with you. In my lowest moments, sometimes I have a little trick I play, a little routine I engage in. And I'll share that routine with you. You know, maybe I had a long day, maybe things didn't go right. And what I will do, I will stand in front of the mirror and I will look at myself. And I remember what my mama used to say to me. And she used to say I was beautiful. And I remember what those nuns who taught me, Master Jones, God love you, we love you, be a good boy, and you are beautiful. So sometimes when I feel down, I just look in front of the mirror. I just looked there for a while. And I said, Clarence, you know what? You are one beautiful dude. You are one beautiful, I don't care what anybody says about you. I don't care what you did today, whatever you didn't do. Just remember, look at yourself in the mirror real clear. Nothing I've seen all day more beautiful than you. Well, that's what I'm telling you, you got to do. It may be an hour after somebody told you you weren't anything. Maybe somebody told you, I don't care what you think you're something, you ain't nothing. Talk to you harshly, maybe hurt your feelings. You just go in that room, get close to that mirror, and look at yourself and said, I am somebody. I am beautiful. I love me. Now, I'm not trying to proselytize you and preach to you, but I'm just going to tell you, this is what I do. I said, the Lord loves me, and I'm beautiful. So I don't care what somebody else said to me 8 hours earlier in the day. I don't care what somebody sent me some stupid old email. Because I know when I'm standing in front of the mirror, I'm the baddest living, walking thing in the world. You understand?
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm so bad. When I look in the mirror almost explodes. That's why I love Muhammad Ali so much. That's why Muhammad Ali is so much. Muhammad Ali says, I'm beautiful. Ali would just say, I'm beautiful. You know? And he believed it. And he got other people to believe it.
Josephine, your turn. Oh, Clarence, your turn. And Josephine,
Hi.
you are beautiful.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
My question is, what was the impact of continuing being Martin Luther King Jr. lawyer? Like, what impacted you knowing what road he was going down?
Well, it transformed me personally. And I learned things. I be places. I remember going with him. I'll tell you the story. I'll make it brief. I remember going with him on a trip in the backwoods of Georgia, Alabama. My mind is either Georgia, Alabama, and he was on a speaking tour to go to speak what he called rural churches, not the big Baptist churches in the cities. So these would be churches where 250, 500 people, maybe 1,000 maximum, and only about 500, 750. But everybody there, most of the people there would be in bare feet. Most of the people in the churches would be in overalls. Many of them had limited education. And so I was with him one time in a church in Alabama, and virtually everybody in there was in overalls and bare feet. And he was preaching up a storm. And then he got to a point and he says, and as a great philosopher, Aristotle would say, blah, 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 blah. And as that great German thinker, Hegel, would say, blah, 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 blah. And as so and so, he quote these great people. So afterwards, and I would look and listen, and I'm saying to myself, no, these people some of them had a 3rd and 4th and 5th grade education. They never heard of some of the people he's talking about. But they understood. They understood the application of his quotation of them to their condition. They didn't have to know anything about Aristotle. They didn't have to know anything about Goethe and Hegel. They didn't have to know anything, but they knew that Dr. King was accurately describing the condition in which they endured. So they could say, amen. That's extraordinary. That's a great ability. Now let me just say to you young people here, everybody can't be Martin King's lawyer. I mean, I just was blessed. I don't know how you got to be where you are in association with Dr. Marshall. But let me tell you something. You hit the jackpot. You hit the lotto. Trust me. When you met Joe Marshall and you could become part of his program, you hit the jackpot. Trust me.
Thank you.
You don't have damn thing to say what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm speaking objective, externalized truth. You know what I'm saying? And on things like this, I'm pretty smart. I'm going to be 90 years old in less than 6 months. When you get to my age, you've seen it all, heard it all. Ain't too many things people can put over you. Or as they say when I came up, Dr. Marshall's the real deal. You understand? They don't get any more authentic than that.
Okay, you're making me blush and I'm dark, so.
How can you? Of course you can blush. It's all right. Speaking of truth.
Kevin wants to ask you something. Kevin, are you still there? It's your turn. And then we're going to sort of have a little more interaction. But go ahead, Kevin.
First, I just want to say it's an honor to talk to you. And my biggest question is, why was Dr. Martin Luther King so stuck on peace? Like, after he'd been done wrong so many times, why did he hold it in?
Stuck on peace?
And just be peace.
Because he, out of his own religious upbringing and his enormous educational, the doctor he has is a PhD in philosophy. He got a PhD from the Boston School of Divinity. He's a doctor, a very erudite, learned person. He believed that if you're going to really fight to eliminate injustice, one, if you do it violently, you will fail. And by the way, he'd be the first to remind you, there's nothing more than someone who opposes what you want. You want to end segregation. You want to stop police brutality against young Black men. There's nothing those people who oppose what you want would like for you to do more than engage in violence. Because you then give them a gift, because they will use the violence that you engage in to cover up, to send into a different direction. So the core message that you're seeking to get through will never be heard. They invite you, they can't wait. Oh, there's nothing they love more than to be able for you to do violence, because they know that nobody else is going to be paying against the substance of your message. When you become violent, they're just going to pay attention to the violence. So it requires enormous discipline to remain nonviolent when you're angry. And he knew that. And I learned many things from him. That was one of the most difficult lessons I learned, because when I met him, I was not nonviolent. I let him make it very clear. Policeman puts his hand on me, he's going down. Dr. King was like, Clarence, you can't do that, you can't do that. I said, well, that's the way I feel. He said, well, that's the reason why I want you to be my lawyer. I don't need you involved in some demonstration, because you'll mess it up for us. So, then I watched him, and I may have been repeating myself. The baddest, bravest dude I ever met. He was fearless. That didn't mean he was afraid. He was fearless. But he was not afraid in the way that you and I would be. And the reason he was fearless, because it rose out of his deep religious belief in his God. I can't say that in the short, but he didn't fake it, man. He really believed that his Lord Jesus Christ was going to take care of him. His lawyer may be smart and take care of him in some ways, but his lawyer wasn't going to ultimately take care of him. You asked me the question. You want me to talk about Dr. King? I'm not saying everybody has to be that way, but that's who he was. He wasn't faking it. It was real.
Masiyah, you have another one, and then I want to I know what I want to do next, but Masiyah, you said you have a critical.
Yeah.
So before she comes in, I just want to give a shout out to Debbie Gore, who's also watching. And
Debbie Gore, you
yes,
talk.
yes, so
She's watching you, Clarence.
And
Yeah,
she would love to hear the wintertime soldier story. So, but we'll go to Masiyah first.
Oh Lord, okay.
All right.
We
Okay.
got all kind of little nuggets to hold on to, but I got that too. So Masiyah, you got another one for him?
Yes, I do. So we see a lot of companies posting pictures on social media saying Black Lives Matter, etc. In my opinion, it's as if they were unaware of the mass injustice against Black and Brown people. So my question is, what characteristics do you think this generation needs to possess in order to create significant change in America?
What that visionaries need to possess?
What characteristics do you think this generation needs to possess in order to create significant change?
What characteristics?
Yeah, I got it.
Generation. Okay. Because see, her thing
you have to be willing to tell the truth in your terms. You see, let's take some of these corporations, okay? You think that the executives and middle management of people at these corporations, you think that they were unaware and didn't know that there were several instances in which the police killed young Black men? You think they didn't know that? Well, I hate to tell you, they knew it. And they probably didn't agree with it. But that's just life, you know? They got other things to do, other more important things to do. So one of the things that the Black Lives Matter movement has done, it has raised the ante. It has said to all of those nice, good people in corporations and in banks and in nonprofit organizations and in media companies, you know, we really appreciate that you felt for us in the past. We really appreciate that. But we're not taking it anymore. We're not taking it anymore. And so if Black lives don't matter, listen to me now. If Black lives do not matter, then nothing you do 24/7, nothing else you do 24/7 matters. If Black lives don't matter, then what you do in your company doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can stop doing it. Oh yeah, if you can stop doing it. But you got to consider doing it a different way, because why do you think they say no justice, no peace? That's the simple truth. If you're not going to give us justice, you're not going to have peace. That's not a threat. That's just a statement of future existence. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your life as a chief executive officer of a multi-billion-dollar company in Silicon Valley, it's not going to be the same. Nor is the lives of all of your employees. It's not going to be the same. Because unless you address the issues, in my case, of my sons and grandsons, unless you address their being killed by the police, We're not going to let your business continue as usual. We're going to upset you. We're not going to let you just go ahead like, everything, no, because everything is not. There can be that we waited too long. Sooner or later, you've got to stop killing us. Not when it's convenient for you, but now.
Clarence, I've used the phrase that this is a marathon relay race for, for freedom, justice, and equality. And in your book, what would Martin say, and it's not even what Martin said, what Clarence Jones would say, you talked about, I happen to think, just from listening to you and what I know about history, that Martin would love what's going on now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He would consider it to be a 21st century, 50 years plus vindication of everything he worked. And I say died for everything he worked for and was killed for. That's right.
That's
in fact, the young people in a way are saying what I've said earlier. What are these young people saying? There is something so important to them that they're prepared to die for. There's something so important to them that they don't want the streets to be quiet anymore. They don't want traffic to be able to go for, no. You cannot expect us anymore to do the same after 8 minutes and 46 seconds. After 8 minutes and 46 seconds of this brother lying on the ground, pleading for his life. You think we're going to let you go and just go back to work the next day as if nothing happened? I don't think so.
And for you, and even when I talk to young people, you and I are lifelong activists. This ain't something we just picked up, right? I mean, we are in this for forever. It's not a fad. And,
that's right, brother.
And I know you got to be. In fact, one of the things about Dr. King and just connecting the dots, he was always on the front lines. Dr. King wasn't in the back. He was at the front of the Selma March.
That's correct. That's correct.
He went to jail.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't. I always say we had to have a holiday for Dr. King because he probably would have took a holiday.
I understand. I hear you.
He had too much work to do, and you are continuing in every way you possibly can to continue this marathon struggle. And what's important for me is to connect the dots for everybody. Everybody has a role to play in this, and they need to connect.
The young people that you have the privilege to serve and who adore you and listen to you and follow you, you know what? They are able, the best tribute they can pay to Martin Luther King Jr. is just to remember those prophetic words he said, April 3rd, the night before he was killed, assassinated. I've been to the mountaintop and I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I know we as a people, we have seen the promised land. Okay? What Dorothy Cotton, John Lewis, C.T. Vivian, Andrew Young, Bob Moses, Ella Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer, what they did, they carried the conscience of our country on their shoulders. And they said that they not only believed that if they continued to work, that things would get better. They had some concrete evidence, the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Bill, the 1965 Voting Rights Bill. And they asked, it's not as if they didn't achieve the 1968 Housing Bill. It's not as if they didn't see certain things. They had fallbacks. They didn't achieve everything. But they had confidence. Well, while they collectively might not be there with you today, they had confidence that they were laying the foundation for you today to take it forward, to play it forward, okay? They played a number of games in the tournament. The tournament isn't over. They had to play several games. Now it's time for you and pick up and carry forward. And this is why when Dr. Joe Marshall calls me, and I'm so glad that Deborah Gorman is watching or listening, that the two of them, for example, among other people, you know, you are the latter day. You're the latter day Dr. Kings, C.T. Vivians, and Ella Baker. You're the latter days. You couldn't be there, but you're carrying forward. Every day that Joe Marshall wakes up and gets out of bed and puts his feet on the floor, he's stepping into Martin's shoes. Oh my God. Oh my God. If Dr. King could be at one of the celebrations that I've been honored to be with at Alive and Free, and he would cry like I've seen Joe Marshall cry, like I have cried. And I've seen some of you make that journey. See, I know enough about what Joe Marshall does that I know that years before you were someplace else. You aren't where you are now. You were someplace else. But for the grace of God and Joe Marshall, this is where you are now. You know what I'm talking about. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So I don't know. Listen. You know, I'm straight. That doesn't mean that anybody who's not straight. I'm straight. But I love Joe Marshall. I love everybody I see. And I see this lady that works with you. And I see her. What's the name of the lady? Come on, smile. You smiling at me. I can't. Lady, what is that? Tell me, that's right. Tell me your name again.
So they call me on the radio show Lady Estelle.
Lady Estelle, stop.
Miss Estelle. Yeah.
I look at you. I look at you, and you know how many times that we've seen one another, right? And you know, you can't fake it. Your love is so consistent. Your dedication to you is so consistent. You can't make it up. You can't make it up because it's in your face. So, and I'm sure that the Live and Free students who've been, by the way, when this pandemic is over, Joe, are you listening to me?
Yes, I am, sir.
When this pandemic is over,
yes,
you put it on the calendar.
Sir.
The very first thing we're going to do, you're going to have me come over, okay? And you're going to have me come over and preach. Is that what you're going to do?
Yes, I will.
Okay, I love you.
Mr. Well, yeah, I love young activists. I really do, and I love them because activists make things happen. You know, things don't happen by themselves.
That's right.
Where all the people you named, and you go back even further, and I like to connect the dots of the activists. You know, when I talk about, about the abolitionists, and the problem is that young people a lot of times don't see the connections. And I like when I can talk to them, I love them so much. I want to keep them fired up. See, because they got to understand that this isn't a passing fancy. It isn't at least to me it is. At some point, you want to drop out, but you got to keep your eyes on the prize, run the races as long as you have. That's why I'm so encouraged by what I see now. And what I'm hoping is that, they have their benchmarks and they move forward, but I don't want them to say, you never stopped.
No.
You never stopped.
I continually want to be in the room where
until he died. And these people that we talk about, it was their life. And I'm not saying they can't do other things. And we have a chance to really, really do something significant right now. And
in the words,
I just want them to be fired up and understand. Yeah, let's keep moving.
In the words of the musical Hamilton, you're challenging people young people to be in the room where it happens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be in the room where it happens, where it takes place, where change takes place. Making change.
And it can be as simple that these young people who are down at their schools, saying, these athletes who are saying, I'm not going to play for the school unless this changes. They have no idea the things that LeBron James and the players are doing. This is your moment.
Curry and Drew B. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Fantastic.
Keep it up. Just keep it up, because you do have a platform. Each of us has individual power. We have collective power to do things without ego, as I would say, without ego. And we can, and you symbolize all of that for me, because, you ain't like what you're doing at USF. Passing on the work, passing on a legacy, passing on this, the institute that you have, the Gandhi. Just talk about that for a minute, and then I'm gonna let the young people think about themselves.
The institute I formed with a colleague, Jonathan Greenberg, who was a teaching fellow at the Stanford University Law School for 30 years, and I persuaded him that he had enough teaching. He had stopped teaching and come and join me. So we formed the Institute for Nonviolence, Institute for Nonviolence and Social Justice. I'm the executive director. Strike executive director. I'm the director, and Jonathan is the associate program director. And we've achieved something. First of all, the most extraordinary thing we've done within this pandemic is that we had to raise the money to continue our work.
Mm-hmm.
We had to raise the money to continue the work that we want to do. And so for a week, for a month and about 5 weeks, I couldn't do anything else but just raise money jointly. We were able to do it. Why were we able to raise money? Because there were some people out there who believe that the things, what do we try to do? We try to carry forward the legacy of Dr. King for nonviolence and social justice. And so we align ourselves with different activities. Sometimes we convene conferences, but many times we convene conferences, but our whole bottom line is we're trying to carry forward in a programmatic, real way, a commemoration, celebration, and activation of Dr. King's legacy. That's what we do.
Malcolm, you want to ask a question? Go ahead, sir.
How you doing, Dr. Jones? Always a pleasure. I had a question.
I know you're gonna give me that hat, right?
Sir, I got one for you next time I see you.
All right, buddy.
I collect these, so I definitely got some extra. Can you talk a little bit about cultural change, attitudes in society versus policy changes, how they work together? Is one more important than the other? I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, the greatest cultural change, which spills over and is connected to political change and policy change, is a broadening recognition that the country we live in, the government of the United States, and all the great things that constitute the United States was created and based on the legacy of slavery. The United States today is a successor to the political systems and governments and institutions that had slavery in our country and developed this pernicious ideology called white supremacy. So it's been a long road coming. But more and more people now are beginning to recognize that, hold on now. There were years and years and years in which this country just treated Black folks awful, terribly. You know? That's a nice way of saying it, and tried to kill us, exterminate us, lynch us. And all of these things are coming out. So that's part of the cultural field. The biggest cultural shift I can say is this debate over Confederate statues, monuments. Now, to me, that's not a complicated question. You know, I mean, I don't even know why there should be more than 5 minutes of time on it. How is it a complicated question when there are monuments and statues to people who actively sought to overthrow the legitimate government of the United States? That's what these Confederate statues are. These were military people or top people in the Confederate legislature who sought to overthrow by force the legitimate government of the United States. So you're going to build a monument? You're going to build a monument, people who were traitors, people who engaged in a treasonous act of overthrowing the legitimate government? So I don't even know why why is that a complicated question? I don't understand why is it complicated that we should celebrate somebody? I'm laughing. Who wanted to overthrow the Constitution? I mean, I don't get it. So, and I'm pleased to say that a number of white people, I don't know what causes them to connect the dots. Maybe it's the sheer nakedness of the brutality of seeing how police treat Black men. Maybe that's it. I don't know what it is. But you have a number of white people joining in support of getting rid of this legacy of slavery. You know? And that's a major cultural shift. Let us be clear now. When we, in the civil rights movement, for example, at the March on Washington, we had about 25% white people. Always, During the course of our civil rights movement, white people were a minority. And of those white people, the majority of those were Jewish people. But white people were always a minority of support in the civil rights movement. So what are we looking at now in 2020? I'll tell you what we're looking at. We're looking at something that is transformative. We're looking at a number of, I'll just use the demographic. I'll just use 18 to 34. That's advertisers, prime demographic. You have a number of white people, 18 to 34, men and women. Now get this, who were quantitatively greater in number than Black people. You hear what I'm saying? Look, listen to what I just said. And if you doubt it, just go and look at, just go and play back on some of those screens. And then, of course, and you go overseas, I mean, you look in England, in London, you see, I mean, something's happened. What has happened in our country? I believe that a number of white people in America have finally said, not in our name. Not in our name. Enough's enough. Not in our name. We may be white. We may not understand all these things all these Black folks want, but not in our name. You cannot kill wantonly Black people and expect us to be quiet. So we say, no, not in our name. So that's why they can say, Black Lives Matter. Finally, Black Lives Matter to them. They see that Black Lives Matter because they also see if Black lives don't matter, that the things that they want to achieve won't matter at all.
Wow.
All right now. So I would say that's
go ahead, Excel.
So Dr. Jones, I just want to say that it's a blessing and an honor to be here with you today. I used to call it
a blessing, not an honor. It's a blessing.
It for me, it is both.
Okay, no, I'm just playing with you.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's like sitting at the feet of the master. And one of the things I used to do whenever I was around, I remember meeting with Mr. Brown versus Board of Education.
Oh, come on now.
Yes, I did, in Kansas City.
Come on now.
And when I met him, I literally sat on the floor with my legal pad in my hand and looked up. And so that's the way I'm feeling right now, sitting on the floor, looking up at you, because my first experience in political activism was when Dr. King was assassinated. I was in high school, and our high school refused to lower the flag half-mast.
What high school did you go to?
I was in Kansas City, Kansas.
And they didn't want to lower. Go ahead, man. I'm listening.
And so we left. There weren't a lot of Black kids in the school, but the Black kids and the white kids got up, walked out of class, marched down for our market was Minnesota Avenue to City Hall.
Come on now.
To lower that flag.
Beautiful.
So for me, I mean, this is so real. For our young people today, Dr. King is a story. We see him on the screen.
Right.
And we read about him and we hear about him, but it's a story. I need to say to you that you make Dr. King real for our young people. The fact that you say the way we know you saw him. We know you were there. It's like, he's really real. This is real. So see, for me and for Dr. Marshall, Dr. King is real. And I marched, and I tell you, when we got to City Hall, my mother worked at City Hall. Why was she standing in the window and she spotted me? All the kids, and she spotted me.
Right.
Anyway, So, but you make it real for us. And so I just am always just touched, blessed, delighted, and honored to hear your voice and to see, you know, and I thank God that you are still here. I got to say, Asani Shakur, he has a couple of questions. He wants to know what's the most challenging parts, if any, that you had being Dr. King's lawyer. And I also would like to hear the wintertime
Soldier. Okay.
Wintertime soldier.
Okay, let me tell you that first, okay?
See, when you said you talked to Harry, they don't even know who Harry is.
I'm sorry, Harry Belafonte.
Yeah, but they
My apologies, yes.
no,
Harry
that's
Belafonte.
okay. But see, I know. I'm just saying, but I'm gonna make sure they get to know who Harry Belafonte is.
Okay, Harry Belafonte.
You just got that. No need to apologize. I'm just wanting you to know, and I need them to know.
Well, let me tell you something. It was 1962.
Is this the wintertime story?
Wintertime soldier.
All right.
It was 1962. And I was with Martin Luther King Jr. in Albany, Georgia. And we were staying at the home of the leader of the Albany, Georgia movement, Dr. William G. Anderson. And it had been a rough day, a couple of days. And Dr. King and I, we were sharing an upstairs bedroom, an attic bedroom, two beds there. And so I'm sitting on the edge of the bed. We're talking, and I get up to take off my suit jacket, my tie, to hang it up. And as I'm inside this closet or hanging it up, I could hear Dr. King talking as I'm hanging up my jacket, but he's talking to me, and he says, you know, Clarence, you and Stanley, he was talking about Stanley Levison, great business, met Dr. King before I did. Martin loved Stanley Levison, white Jewish lawyer from New York. Anyway, he says, you know, you and Stanley are like wintertime soldiers. And I wasn't sure what he meant. And then he says, you know, anybody can stand with you in the warm sunshine of an August summer, but only a wintertime soldier stands with you at midnight in the alpine chill of winter.
Oh my goodness.
So when he said that to me, I started tears coming down. I said, Martin, he said, no, you're my wintertime soldier. I never forgot that. In fact, I'd have to say that the entire rest of my time with Dr. King was trying for me to fulfill that I indeed earned that reputation, because it stayed with me. But it also gave me a measuring rod to look at other things. So I learned quickly who were our wintertime soldiers and who were our summertime soldiers. I learned quickly.
I'd like to say that Dr. King was an ordinary man who did extraordinary things.
That's right.
So Armond Hervey, you are Dr. King. Langston Reece, you are Dr. King. And I could be using everybody else that you use. I could be using Fannie Lou and everything. They were ordinary people. Josephine Harper, you are ordinary. You are Dr. King. That's and correct. All the people with them. Masiyah Edwards, you are Dr. King. Who did I leave out? Kevin Lindsay, you are Dr. King. I think there's one more on the call I might have got. Bobbi Brown, you are Dr. King. And people don't get that Malcolm and Martin, history made them. They just, and Langston Reece, you are Dr. King, right? They accepted the call. And see, that's the thing. Dr. King accepted the call at the age of 26. Clarence Jones accepted the call when Dr. King visited him in Los Angeles. And I know that old story. He had to accept the call. Anybody, you have to accept the call, and then history makes you who you are.
Come on.
there are ordinary people who end up following their calling, and then history decides that they need to be noted. So, you know, Armond, all you guys, I want you to introduce yourselves. Just tell Dr. Jones who you are, where you're going, what your plans are, and, you know, you're accepting the call. I know you're accepting the call because you're dealing with Alive and Free, and we ask a lot. So you're going to start, Armond.
My name is Armond Hervey Jr. You know, I just graduated from Hercules High School, you know, and now I'm going on to Grambling State University class of 2024.
Where?
Grambling State University.
Go ahead now.
Sure.
Great.
All right.
Langston?
How you doing? My name is Langston Reece. I just graduated from Sacred Heart Cathedral. I plan on going to San Jose State in the fall, and I will be majoring in marketing.
All right.
Masiyah?
Hi, Mr. Jones. My name is Masiyah Edwards, and I just graduated from Gateway High School. I'll be attending Grambling State University also, in hopes to become a criminal justice attorney for juveniles.
Great.
All right.
Is Kevin still there, or is Kevin just hiding? Hey,
I'm right here.
Kevin.
Hey, my name is Kevin Lindsay, and I just graduated from Academy High School, class of 2020, and I plan on going to City College to save a little money. Then I plan on transferring to Florida A&M. And I honestly don't know what I want to major in. I've been thinking about it for the last few days. I was thinking about business, but I don't know, I'm still trying to make my mind up.
Okay.
If I can say one thing about this young man, this man has unlimited potential. Unlimited.
Beautiful.
He is just beginning to, and Kevin, if I'm saying something wrong, tell me. He is just beginning to awaken to the potential and possibilities as he has in life. And I just want to tell that to him, and for you to know that. Kevin, you have just really done well. Let me just say that. I'm not going to say no more because everybody in the world is listening. But just making the call tonight was a big deal, because you had to actually go out of the way to make this happen. And I'm very proud of you. I want to say that to you, brother.
I'd like to lift up all the young men.
Thank you.
All the young men on this call. Armond, Langston, and Kevin, Dr. Jones, they are three brilliant young men. And when they show and use their potential without any hesitation, they are amazing. So they have a lot of promise.
Thank you.
That's our young men. Let's hear from our young women as well. We haven't heard from Bobbi yet, but
yeah,
our young ladies, amazing. Bobbi.
Hello, I'm Bobbi Brown. I'm in Alive and Free and a technical training program. I'm starting internship next month as a project coordinator, but I'm getting into project management in the tech industry, and I'm going to finish my degree my third year of college.
Fantastic.
Josephine?
Josephine?
Hi. I'm going to City College for 2 years, and then I'm planning on transferring to Clark University and majoring in criminal justice.
Okay.
So it sounds like each of them are moving in the direction that you said, putting themselves in a position where they can be in the room.
Right.
We have Brianna here, who is a graduate, and she said she had a question. She has a question too. Brianna, what's your question?
Hi, Mr. Jones. How are you doing? So I have two questions. I think we can all agree that we demand justice for Black lives. What is one of the demands that you have for Black lives, and what does freedom look like to you?
Freedom looks like to me that when I wake up in the morning and I think about what I'm going to do, where I'm going to do it, how I'm going to do it, I want to think about it the same way that a white person thinks about it. I want to think about it. You know, the writer James Baldwin, I'm sure you know who he was. James Baldwin wrote The Fire Next Time, among other things. He was being interviewed by a TV broadcaster in New York. The broadcaster's name was David Susskind. He used to call it the David Susskind late night TV show. And David Susskind turned to Jimmy Baldwin impatiently. That's when he had cigarettes. Both of them were chain smokers. And David Susskind said to Jimmy, Jimmy, what is it? What is it? What is it that you want? What is it that you and so many Negroes want? And Jimmy Baldwin took the cigarette out of his mouth and held it and looked at David and said, David, whatever you want, I want. You know what I'm saying? When a white person wakes up in the morning and decide whatever they're going to do, I want to be able to think that I can do it without the limitations of not being white. That's it. Not very complicated. Because I know, by the way, you didn't ask me this, but I have to add, because I know over the years, I know I have got the confidence to know that I am a bad dude. You understand? I didn't always know that, but now I know I am a bad dude. I wasn't always a bad dude. But at this stage of my life, please, I'm the baddest dude walking the earth. Hear what I said, Joe?
I hear you. You know, Bree, you made me think of a couple. And, you know, freedom, I just thought of a couple, since we're at this point, might mean when you don't have to have these conversations. You know, the police conversation that the parent has to have with the son and daughter, you know, that one.
Oh, yeah.
Freedom, when you don't have to say,
when you don't have to have that conversation.
Hands on the wheel, don't reach for nothing.
Don't have your hands in your pockets.
Freedom might feel like not having to have that conversation.
Right.
Freedom might mean, see, now you got me thinking, I feel like I'm back in the, freedom might mean not having to have this conversation, which all of us, all parents have with Black children. You got to work twice as hard to get half as much. See, freedom might mean that. Freedom might, and it's funny, the slave said something what freedom meant to him. Freedom for him meant to go to school, but that's a good conversation. And I was thinking freedom might mean you could swim with the current and not against the current. But with us, we always swimming against the current.
Right.
Oh,
the playing field is always smooth.
Yeah, we're always going against it. They're going with it. We're going against it. Mm-hmm. And so those are good. Those are good thoughts. As long as you are have to have those conversations, right? You got work to do. Yes. Now you might have to go to Wakanda to actually feel like that, but that was really just a movie.
I got to go get some rest.
You do.
You gotta let me go, man.
I do.
You gotta let me go.
Sorry we didn't
Mrs.
get to, I'm sorry we didn't. I sent you a text. I'm sorry we didn't get to Asani Shakur's question, but he was on and watching. And I know we definitely want you to get some rest, Dr. Jones. And Dr. Marshall, you and Ann got my text. Did you? Take a look. All right.
It said that let him have the last word.
That's
so
right. Give him.
Said, yeah, he said, I want to go get some rest.
All right.
Well, the last word is that you honor me by asking me to be with you. I mean, it ain't very you honor me You know, I mean, I treasure this.
So do we.
I treasure this. You know, I ain't no big medallion. You know, you don't have to bring up no big Mercedes car and put in my driveway. I'm saying, I just, you know what? Because you got to love the people you serve.
Well, we do. And I love you, brother. Thank you, man. I really do, man. I can't wait till we get to hang again. And man.
Deborah,
I said, what's up? And
take my special warm friendship to Debbie Gore.
Yes, I will. And to all our young people, thank you for being here. This is a treat. You connected with living history, and you got to understand what struggle is all about.
I'm looking at you, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, have a good
Well,
day.
thank
you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.